Welcome. So now it's your turn. So we've done lots and lots of work over the last 12 or 13 lessons. So what I'd like you to do now is to plan and create your very own flowchart quiz. So we've looked at lots of different programming types, but until you get into the planning and really refine your planning, you're never going to be able to successfully create really big complex programs because they can just get away from you. Now there's lots of different ways of planning. You can just plan it on a scrap piece of paper, which is always good for me. You can plan using flowchart diagram software, which is what we're going to do today, and you can also plan using pseudocode, which we'll do in a few lessons time. But today let's just look at using a flowchart piece of software. Now, we're not going to concentrate too heavily on all the special symbols. We're just going to create rectangular boxes, put descriptions in them, create arrows, and then label up the arrows just for today. But as we go forward, I will show you how to use all the different boxes and how to do it really thoroughly. But just for ease and just to get you started using the program, we're just going to do it that way. Plus, it's a fairly simple flowchart to create. So we're going to create our own flowchart quiz. And we're going to do that in a program called Draw.io. So just heading on over to here. So just ahead of time, I've just created a Python document called Planning and Creating My Own Flowchart Quiz. Now, the reason I use Draw.io is because it's free mainly, and because it integrates with Google Drive, so you can save it into your drive and you can update it from home or wherever. So I just typed in flowchart.io and it comes up here, flowchart.io, which is Draw.io really. When you click on this, it will kind of give you a bunch of messages saying, do you want to use this? Do you want to give it access and things like that? So you just need to say yes and you tell it how to access it. And then you say create new diagram or open existing. So if you've already started, you just open an existing one. So let's just create a new one. And we're going to say blank. We're going to give it a name called My Flowchart Quiz. And then we're going to press the create button. So just make sure it's selected. Press the create button. Now it says, do you want to use the root folder? Now I do not recommend you use the root folder because you're just going to have files everywhere. So if we just say no and go and find a very specific file. So we're currently working on our year 9 project. So let's go into computing and let's go to year 9 and we can just save it in here. If you want to save it into your term 2 folder, that's absolutely fine. So let's create term 2 and press select and that will start creating. So this is going to be in your Google Drive and it's going to be saved in your year 9 term 1 2 folder. Now it's a fairly straightforward thing to do. So we're going to use this rectangles, we're going to use some arrows, and we're going to use texts. That's pretty much all we're going to use. So each of these rectangles are going to give us one of our questions or one of our processes. So you can type your question in the middle just by double clicking and then click out of it. You can then have your arrow. So all I've done is in advance I've created my arrow. It's put it. Now I do want to move it, so I think I might just delete that one and start again. So if you grab an arrow, drop it into the place that you want, stretch it out until you're happy, and then you can just use your text. So if we grab my text and we just say, right, this arrow here is for the yes answer, and so on. So once we've done that, we can grab another rectangle and then we can ask another question and so on. So as you can see, it's fairly straightforward to use. You can also style it as well. So over on the right hand side here, you've got all your styling options and you can make it as pretty as you like. The good thing is it's vector based, so you can scale in as much as you want and you can make this as big or as small as you want just by scrolling or scaling it down, and you can get some really big complex you can get some really big complex flowcharts here. You can also change the size, so you can make it as big as you want and you can customize. So if you went A3, obviously it would make it bigger as well, which is nice. I don't think I really need to say much more about that. So your mission is very simple and you're going to get graded based on how complex and how successful your flowchart quiz is. So I would say you definitely want 3 or 4 different questions, if not more. You should probably aim for having different routes as well. This is very simplistic, but if you type in flowchart quiz into Google and have a look at some of the pictures on Google, you'll notice that you can have a lot more complex, you can have a different format. So that's what I'm looking for, is something that just looks a bit more interesting, and it flows a different way, and it uses the knowledge and experience you've gained over the last 13 lessons. So give that your best shot, and I'll see you in the next lesson.